Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here this morning. I'm filled with so much gratitude for this assembly. As a teacher, as an abbot, in these rituals and these rites, I'm always sitting here, and I'm doing that as the representative of the lineage, and it's important and proper that I take that seat. And it's also kind of funny because I'm a human, I feel things, I have a life, and I feel a lot of tenderness and gratitude for the practice of everyone who passes through the doors here. And that practice looks like so many different things, and I really have faith and confidence in all of it. So it's actually deeply humbling to be in the role of a teacher, and particularly when we come to a gate of discipleship, which is a confusing word. It's not my favorite word, but we looked for a lot of words in English that would sort of rise to the occasion of the word in Japanese, which is deshi. And that was kind of what we settled on. Some of our neighbors up north, those were the term they used, and so we began to use it as well. Why is it confusing? It's confusing because maybe you come to the temple, maybe you're studying here, maybe you come and meet with me or the other teachers in Zazen or other things. And of course, I'm your teacher. So what is the point of this discipleship, or what changes? That would be a kind of question that would come into people's mind. And it's good that that question comes into people's mind. But it's also important not to think that any kind of study that we do with a teacher is lesser than, because there are people who take on this particular commitment or enter into this particular Dharma gate. We can study very seriously with a teacher without them. But for some, they'll find their way to a teacher that is a teacher for a lifetime. That you'll come to a place where you know this is the person that I will follow for the rest of what I can imagine this life is. And when we come to that conviction, we can ask that teacher to take us on as a disciple. We used to use the term master, which has fallen out of favor for many good reasons, but it holds a particular tone that we may come to understand is important to the tradition and to the lineage, because a master transmits something. They don't simply teach. They embody something, which is the embodiment of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. This morning, when I get a few moments, we're pretty busy this morning getting ready, but I was kind of excited about this, so I did it. I get a few moments on Sunday morning, I'll scrawl something on a piece of paper, and I tack it up outside the gate here on the right-hand side. You always see there's something written there. And I've been thinking this past week, I was really thinking, we need a Buddha to remind us that all beings are Buddhas. That's a kind of principle. People say, well, if all beings are Buddhas, then why do we need to bow to this Buddha? Well, because we forget almost instantly that all beings are Buddhas. So you need a Buddha to be able to remind you that all beings are Buddhas. You need a temple to remind you that practice is everywhere. You need a teacher to remind you that the teaching is everywhere. This is really the refuge of the three treasures of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That the teacher embodies that life in which all beings are seen as Buddhas, and they're seeing us as a Buddha. That's why they can be our teacher. Not because they say, oh, you really need help, man. Although that's usually true. We usually do need a lot of help, right? And our teachers should be able to see that too. But fundamentally, they see that we are of the nature of awakening, and that actually all beings are of the nature of awakening. We need someone to remind us of that. We need a teaching that reminds us, again, that all life is a teaching. Not only what I read in the sacred texts, but everything that I encounter is an opportunity for me to understand the Buddha's awakening. Like the whole world is a sutra. It's all a text for us to read. And our reading is just our living. And finally, to harmonize with all of those Buddhas. Maybe the most challenging thing. The embodiment of that harmonizing becomes what is transmitted through the tradition. And as I started with, everyone has full access to this. But when we unify with a teacher in the lineage in this particular way, that becomes orienting for our whole life. So this morning, as we engage in this rite together, I would just remind you that everyone's involved. There are three ordainees this morning, Onshin and Seigan and Myoan, all of whom I've had the great honor and pleasure to walk with for many years now, particularly Myoan. She was like the maybe first person, well, one of two or three of the people I met when I first came to Eugene from Japan. So, of course, the drama is unfolding here, but you are part of that. And that refuge which is happening for all of us. And the awakening of the Buddha is also happening for all of us. So as you partake in the ritual, please feel free to join in the call-in responses or the chanting parts to the degree that that's something that you want to do. There's no requirement, unless you receive precepts, in which there's a requirement. And take it as a meditation, a kind of meditation on refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and a meditation on the path, and on this nature of a path which is not just mine, but is a path which is about the waking up of all beings, which on a rainy Oregon Sunday morning somehow is a bit easier to imagine for me. It's all wet.